I just received Freedom of Information replies in relation to the SiteServe deal to Millington, the Dennis O'Brien owned company, which merged with GMC. It's GMC Sierra, and they got the water meter contract. So interesting, to say the least.
Next, we have to get answers to the questions regarding the awarding of the contract. There is a key date here. It's June 2013. In a PQ reply on June the 12th, 2013, Minister Hogan confirmed that the end of June 2013 would be the closing date for bidders to apply to be considered for the metering contract. GMC Sierra company registration number 530230 was one of the successful bidders. GMC Sierra was awarded a metering contract, but, and this is the key, the same company registration number 530230 did not come into existence legally until the 15th of July 2013, 15 days after the closing date for bids. How is it that an entity that did not exist when the deadline closed was awarded a contract, GMC Sierra, a company Dennis O'Brien is a vested party in, was somehow awarded a contract before it even existed? Taoiseach, last week when speaking in this House on the Water Services Bill, I asked some of those questions, but I yet am waiting to receive an answer. I asked them through parliamentary questions. One question was flatly refused. The other one, the answer was so anemic that it was a non-answer. These questions refer to the circumstances surrounding the awarding of the Irish water metering contract and how the company Millington, who was able to acquire SiteServe and thus GMC Sierra at a significantly reduced cost from IBRC, a deal which saw the Irish state lose €105 million. GMC Sierra then went on to win the metering contract. We know that the bids had to be in by the 30th of June 2013. We know that one of those companies that was awarded one of the major contracts did not exist. It didn't exist until the 15th of July, and that was weeks after the closing date for the bid. How then did GMC Sierra, company registration number 530230, who did not come into existence until the 15th of July, manage to win a contract? How could a company that did not exist have satisfied the requirement to have a tax clearance certificate in place to be considered for that contract? How did the procurement process satisfy EU rules? And why did IBRC choose to accept a bid from Dennis O'Brien's Millington for SiteServe when it was actually the lowest of the bids, and it resulted in a loss to the state of €105 million? Taoiseach, last October I stood in this very spot and raised issues about SiteServe and the water metering contract. As the months progressed, the questions extended into the wider issues surrounding IBRC and how they handle certain transactions, and ultimately into this dysfunctional relationship between IBRC and the Department of Finance. IBRC had one remit, and that was to ensure that the citizens got the maximum return possible for the €35 billion that they were forced to pump into primarily the failed Anglo-Irish Bank. We wanted assurances, for example, as to whether or not the €119 million they wrote off when SiteServe was sold to Dennis O'Brien was, in fact, the best decision for Irish citizens. Now, 5 months on, after the establishment of the Commission, we're at a stalemate. Ironically, the special liquidator, Kieran Wallace, the person who the department originally wanted to conduct the review into the SiteServe issues, is now claiming privilege and refusing to fully cooperate. And over the past 24 hours, the Public Interest Director of IBRC has taken to the airways to express concern about the injustice that was perpetrated on the board, or that will be perpetrated on the board of IBRC, and their reputations if the Commission collapses. But what about the injustice, Taoiseach, perpetrated against the Irish citizens in a situation where the public bailed this bank out, but the public can't know how the assets were disposed of? That's the real injustice in this, Taoiseach. It appears that the balance of law falls on protecting individuals rather than the common good. And how can that be right? And how can it even be constitutional? Was that even considered when the inquiry was set up? So my questions are, Taoiseach, can you confirm if any debtor involved in any of the case or any